welcome back to the channel. Today we have a pressing issue here in Oklahoma. It appears that a Democrat senator in our state, goes by the name of Dunnington, this is his last name, has introduced a bill 2940. Now, what does this bill entail? So when you go to the Oklahoma State Legislature's website, you can see here the bill. You can tell it's Dunnington. He's his district's, I think it's 88, and you can see that the first reading of this bill is going to be on 2/3, and you can see that it was authored by Representatives Dunnington, dated also 2/3 of 2020. Now, you might be asking, well, what is this bill? Well, let's pull it up. So if you go there, you can click on the HB 2940, and it'll download a Word document with what is actually in the bill. So if we pull this up, you can see that it is dated for 2020. And here's the premise of the bill. So Virginia is enacting sort of the same bills into their Senate with limiting magazines and throwing up red flag laws. This bill is sort of similar to that in that if you read this, they're pretty much enacting the same thing. So it's an amendment to the Firearms Act of 1971, and he also notes it as an emergency. So recently we just passed permitless carry that went into effect back in November, which allows the people of Oklahoma to basically carry without a permit, which is what we wanted in our state. This is part of our Second Amendment rights. This bill, on the other hand, is infringing on those rights by limiting the number of rounds I can carry on me at a given time. So if you carry, say, more than 10 rounds, if this bill were to get passed, you would automatically be a felon. So let's take a look at Section 1 here. Section 1 is basically restricting bullets. And you can tell when somebody doesn't really know guns when they say it's an elongated missile with a core of less than 60%. That's what they're considering to be a restricted bullet. Not sure where they came up with the elongated missile from, but that's definitely not something you carry on yourselves. At least my ammo is not a missile. It is a projectile. You can see that he goes through kind of the explanation of it lead and having a fluorocarbon coating, which is designed to travel at a high velocity and is capable of penetrating body armor. Most people who carry handguns do not carry ammo that can penetrate body armor. Most of it's defensive ammo for criminals, because criminals typically don't wear body armor. The guys that are wearing body armor and they're attacking are usually having some sort of high-powered rifle. And I don't know if that's what they're going after on this one, but it doesn't make any sense. And then if you read on, in the Section 2 of this, it talks about body armor, which is a vest or a shirt of 10 plies or more of bullet restraint material as defined by the Office of Development, Testing, and... What? 10 plies or more. Most bulletproof vests are made out of different materials. I'm not a bulletproof vest expert, but I'm pretty sure it's more than just 10 plies or more of bullet resistant material. Section 3 here goes into large capacity ammunition magazine means a fixed or detachable magazine, box, drum, fetch strip, or similar device capable that is designed to be readily converted to accept more than 10 rounds of ammunition. Every rifle, especially with ARs and AK-47s, they hold more than 10 rounds because when you go to the range to shoot, you don't want to keep reloading every 5 seconds. You want to shoot and keep shooting for longer than 5 seconds. He also notes that a fixed tubular shotgun magazine that holds more than 28 inches of shotgun shells, including an extension, any extensions that device that is attached to the magazine and holds additional shotgun shells, or a non-tubular detachable magazine, box, drum, feed strip, or similar device that is capable of accepting more than 8 shotgun shells when combined with the fixed magazine. This is just getting ridiculous. Part B of that same amendment, large capacity ammunition magazines does not mean a feeding device that has been permanently altered so the device can accommodate more than 10 rounds of cannot accommodate more than 10 rounds of ammunition. So what they're saying there is if I have a 17 round magazine, which is what I carry with my Ruger, or not, excuse me, not Ruger, what I carry with my Glock 45, I have 17 rounds. So I cannot modify this to where it only takes 10 rounds. That's still illegal according to this bill. Part 2 of that shows or an attached tubular device designed to accept the capacity of operating only with 22 caliber rimfire ammunition, or a tubular magazine that is contained in a lever action firearm. None of this bill makes any sense. Like I said, this is how you can tell a gun owner from a non-gun owner, because they just go after anything they hear on the internet as being dangerous in their personal view, which I think is retarded, because we as gun owners are the safest people out there. We, as you saw in the aftermath of the Virginia lobby day, there was not a single fire shot. There was no protesting. There was no fighting. Nobody. The KKK wasn't there. You didn't have the Ku Klux Klan. There was no racist organization there. The bad white guy wasn't there discriminating. There were black folks at that rally fighting for their right to own guns. That's what these Democrats understand. It's taking the ability of the minorities away to own guns, because these guys walk around with security. They go into the government building and they have armed guards. We as everyday citizens do not or cannot afford the right to have our own security. So to have a law where all you're doing is giving the bad guy more ammunition, that's all this bill is really going to do. It's going to give the bad guy more ammunition because criminals do not follow the law. If criminals follow the law, there would be no criminals. Straight and simple. The only thing that makes sense is, okay, so let's take the bullets, let's take the guns away from the good guys so that only the bad guys will have it, and everyone just, sorry, you're not allowed to defend yourself. So if you look at the next section here, which is the manufacture of restricted bullets, you can see that except for the purpose of public safety or national security, it shall be unlawful to manufacture, cause to be manufactured, import, transferred, advertise, or sell within this state any restricted bullet or large capacity ammunition magazine such terms as defined in section 1289.19 of this title. That's the section we just went over. So right off the bat, I believe there's a clause that if you already own them, you're grandfathered in. But we'll get down to one of the sections where it talks about carrying, where you are not allowed to carry more than 10 rounds on you at any given time. So if I carry my 2 17-round magazines, as we'll discuss later on, I'm already going to be a felon just for having a standard magazine that Glock gives you with their gun. So Part B on this says, any person convicted of violating subsection A of this section shall be guilty of a felony and shall be punished by a fine of not less than $500 nor more than $10,000 or imprisonment in the custody of state of the Department of Corrections for not more than 10 years or by both such fine and imprisonment. So if you're caught with any of the bullets, any of the magazines, you can be fined up to $10,000 or imprisoned up to 10 years. Let that sink in for a minute. Just because I, as a gun owner, want to go shoot my wife's AR-15 that has a 30-round magazine, and I have 5 of those. That now, according to this law, would make me a felon. And if I ordered more, then I'm a felon. But then how do they know? How are they going to enforce this law? Because how do they know you didn't purchase those magazines before this law went into effect? So the next part of it that's going to come is obviously going to be gun registration. They're going to want a bill that's going to follow this, that is going to make it to where when I go buy ammunition or if I go buy a magazine, I'm going to have a background check, or I'm going to have to register that magazine so they'll know that I bought it after this bill date. So let's go to the next part of this. It shall be unlawful for any persons to possess, carry upon his or her person, or attempt to use against another person any restricted or large capacity ammunition magazine, such as the terms as defined in section 128.9.19 of this article, of this title. So this goes back to my 2 17-round magazines will automatically make me a felon just for carrying them. I don't have to use them, just carry them, because it says right there, any person to possess, carry upon his or her person, or use or attempt to use against another person any restricted bullet or large capacity ammunition magazine. So let that sink in for a minute. So by the way, this is a Democrat politician, and being as our state's majority of Republicans and our governor's a Republican, the likelihood is slim to none that he'll get this passed. But just so we're aware, our Second Amendment rights clearly state that they shall not be infringed. And what are we doing? We're reading a bill that clearly infringes on my right to own a firearm. It clearly infringes on my right to enjoy shooting, because that's ultimately what you're doing. You're not taking away the ammo or the bad bullet or the dangerous bullet from the bad guy. You're only taking away from the law-abiding citizens who obey the law. And that is 99% of your gun owners. The guys that are the criminals are going to look at this and go, well, I guess I have more ammunition than the good guys. I can go do what I want because there's nobody here to stop me. And it's getting to the point where we as gun owners, those who fight for our Second Amendment rights, have to come together and we have to defeat the Democrat Party. It's just plain and simple. These guys are after our guns so they can take away our First Amendment rights. This is what it's going to boil down to. At some point, we're not going to have a First Amendment because there's nobody left to protect your First Amendment. Okay. And you can read this bill. It just goes on and on and on. And, what they consider to be prohibited ammunition is any concealed or unconcealed handgun when carried in a manner authorized provision of Oklahoma Self-Defense Act, and when used with a large capacity ammunition magazine or loaded with any ammunition which is either a restricted bullet as defined by section 120.19. This goes back to non-gun owners or people who have never been around firearms dictating safety in firearms. They can't wrap their head around the fact that every day gun owners, those who carry their gun in public, do so without incident. My gun has never gone off. My gun is there to protect me, to protect my friends, and to protect the people around me. The innocent. Those who cannot protect themselves, that is why we carry and we train. The guys that really truly care about, being safe, practicing gun safety, they train all the time. They're constantly, how do I draw my weapon and be safe? Or, I want to shoot to where I'm only shooting the target and not the innocent bystanders around them and having bullets fly around. Perfect example of this is in Texas. You have the security guard of the church take one shot. He shoots the guy in the head. All the other guys draw their weapon. They wait. They look to make sure the threat's been taken care of, and then they holster their weapons. There wasn't bullets flying everywhere. Everyone who there drew their gun knew what needed to be done. You assess the situation. Is the target getting up? At this point in time, they're assessing whether that target is able to stand up and return fire. Thankfully, the security officer who took out the shooter was a really good shot. He took the shooter out with one shot. No bystanders were hit from stray bullets from other than the shooter. So there you go. So like I said, this is a bill that's coming up. It's going to be on the docket on 2-3. Being as we're predominantly a Republican state, majority of everyone in the state carries a gun. They have a gun in the truck. It's Oklahoma. This is what we do. We protect ourselves. So I just would like to get this video out there just to kind of give you guys a heads up. Organizations we have here is the Second Amendment Association. Those guys, they take donations. They fight for our right to have the ability to carry our firearms. They're the ones that were instrumental in getting the permitless carry passed and getting our governor to sign that bill to where anyone can carry a firearm. And they're working on getting it to where it's legal to carry on Capitol buildings, because right now we are not allowed to carry inside of any state-run office building, courthouse, police stations. We can't carry inside the Capitol building, so they're kind of working on getting that done. So I'll leave links in the description to those guys where you can check them out. They have their own YouTube channel, which you can check out. There are other folks that are in this fight. We just need to come together as an organization of gun owners and stand up to the Democrats, because at some point we have to fight back. Because if we don't fight back, then our freedoms are going to be stripped from us. That's all I have for this video. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe. I am testing the waters on doing YouTube videos. I'll eventually have a camera set up and get this office to where I can do more informational videos to you guys on what's happening on our Second Amendment rights, especially in the state of Oklahoma. Not a lot of people are in the know and know about this bill, so we really need to get the word out, and we need to get Dunnington out of office. We cannot allow people who go against the Second Amendment to be in office. To me, it's treason, and what's happening today is baffling. Our founding fathers have to be rolling in their graves right now, watching us slowly deteriorate and lose our freedoms that they set in the Constitution. It's set in stone that we have the right to bear arms, and the Democrats just don't understand that. And of course they don't. They're a bunch of socialists. They're a bunch of communists, and we have to stand up and fight back. Anyways, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Spread the word, share the video, get people involved. The more we can get involved and stand up for our rights, the better off we're going to have of keeping those rights. All right, thanks.